My name is Chad Kasmar, and I'm the Chief of the Tucson Police Department. You are sitting in Tucson, Arizona, the 33rd largest city in the country. I've been with the agency almost 24 years. I've been the Chief of Police 2 years, effective December 8th. So I had a pretty interesting career. I never started as a police officer in patrol thinking one day I'm going to be the Chief of Police. In fact, I think I'd still be a motor officer today if it wasn't for my wife wanting to stay home with our boys. But the way life happens and career progression happens, and you get to bounce around on a large agency and do a lot of different things. And I found myself, before you knew it, as a second in command of the department. Second in command's a great job because I had a front row seat during the last 5 years to really evaluate, what the profession meant, what the community thought about us. I get asked that question a lot. Why did you ask to be the Chief of Police at a time in this country where it's difficult to get a fair shot as a police officer, as a profession? People don't understand it. It's not funded. There's a clamoring for defund, or not even at this point in our world of safely funding the police department. And recognizing out of 18,000 police departments, there's 70 major city police departments, and we're one of them. And our lifespan as major city chiefs went down to about 2.5 years post-George Floyd. So what can you really do with a large organization and solving complex problems in 2.5 years? And so all those things happening on top of a son going to college and another young son in junior high. In 2021, I really just had this epiphany, if not me, then who? If not us, then who? And I recognized that I didn't spend the last 2 decades of my career keeping this community safe to not be understood or appreciated or valued. And frankly, the foundation of a safe city and anywhere in America is having an appropriate public safety team, which is your police, fire, and your emergency communication workers. I think what our staff and the community, and even our elected officials appreciate about me is kind of what you see is what you get. And I'm a third generation Tucsonan raising fourth, and so Tucson is a little bit of an eclectic community, and we have some big challenges. We have some, we're a border city. We're now halfway from the border. Last year in this country, over 50% of the fentanyl seized in this country was seized in Arizona, in our state. That's an hour south of us. And so, there's a lot of different things going on, and it's not like the day I became chief, I fixed all of our challenges. And I had it wrong, frankly. The last few years before I became the chief, I contributed to some of the bad outcomes by being overly focused on how the community felt and not being as equally focused on how the team members felt. And what I mean by that is if our officers don't feel like I support them and I don't have their trust and I'm not connected to them, then they're not going to go out and serve the community in the best way possible. So connection starts within an organization first, where a leader's connected, understands the challenges, is equipping them, is supporting them, is not being overly critical of the media if they go out and they make a human mistake or there's an undesirable outcome. I had the pedigree of that before I became the chief, but nobody knows, right? Nobody knows what you're going to do until you become the CEO and the bag holder. I think what makes me effective at what I do is my wife and my 2 boys were committed to me, to the profession as I was, 1, and 2, they're all ready for me to be unemployed as well. And to be an effective chief in America today, you have to be willing to stand up and do what's right for the profession. And sometimes that's discussing really difficult uses of force where it might have been an undesired outcome, but it certainly wasn't a mistake of the heart or the mind where somebody went out and intentionally committed a bad act, right? There's a genuine love what we do. I love being a police officer and I'm proud of it, and I've been proud for 24 years, and that hasn't changed. At a time where we're critically staffed like every major city police department in this country, my leadership team looked at me a little crazy when I said, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to reinvest in our staff? How are we going to help them unpack their experiences? Because right now the rucksacks are full. It doesn't matter what assignment you have, how long you've been on the department, it's a difficult time to be a police officer in this country where mainstream media doesn't paint a full picture of the work that we do, the complexities of that, or give us a fair shot. There's certainly police uses of force that are absolutely criminal misconduct and officers should be held accountable. That is representative of 0.0001% of the population of police officers across America. The first thing was we need to rethink wellness. The amount of violence and trauma that our public safety personnel across this country are exposed to every day without appropriate tools or resources to unpack those experiences is absolutely unacceptable. And so, we wonder why officers and firefighters and emergency communication workers become callous. Well, it's called survival. It's called, I can't handle another child dying in my arms. I can't handle another death notification to a family telling them their loved one's not going to come home. So we deal with the realities of society that nobody else wants to deal with, and there's trauma that comes with that. So we really took a pause and we did a restructuring of the department. We created a wellness division, so we committed resources, not just words, but resources to actually do the work. at a time where everybody a little bit was like, okay, we don't have the resources. And I was like, we're gonna take a leap of faith and make this investment because it's important. That chain of command reports up directly through the deputy chief, which is the second in command, just like the Office of Professional Standards, just like our PIO office. And what that signifies to the organization is just the structure of the organization signifies importance. And when something, you can't have your Office of Professional Standards or your PIO shop report to you, but as a chief, but have your wellness have 5 layers of review between you and them, right? That signifies to the department you're not that serious. The second part was finding a partner. And we were lucky. We found an amazing partner called Boulder Crest. And I've had trauma in my life, in my personal life, and my work life, and I actually talk about that in every class that we launch. We do one Struggle Well class a month, and effectively the foundation of Struggle Well is how do you live a life of trauma and trauma exposure and not develop post-traumatic stress disorder, but actually balance your life through post-traumatic growth, PTG. And that's the foundation of the program. And so, you know, our tagline with Boulder Crest Partners is struggle's a horrible thing to waste, but we're also normalizing struggle. And the way that we do that is cops aren't great about talking about their feeling. They're not great about saying, hey, I'm not processing that last suicide. I don't know why. I've had 100 of those, but this last one really got to me. And we've never gone deep enough and supportive enough with each other. So what our partnership with Boulder Crest has allowed us to do is we pull 25 public safety personnel. So that's professional staff, commissioned, firefighters, emergency communication workers, in every position in the police department. And we do a full long week class. And they learn a lot of valuable life lessons in this class. And the cool part is I get to open up each class. And the first thing I do is I apologize. And I take ownership of my failures through my leadership time before I became chief, of not doing enough. And so no more would we accept somebody retiring with an alcohol disorder, and then we're shocked when 5 years into retirement they pass, because we send them into retirement broken. We send them into retirement without the skills to process the experiences. And so we're not only investing in our current team members, we're investing in our retirees, we're creating spousal support programs. We've taken the feedback along the Struggle Well journey. Is the last day of the class actually presents to public safety leadership. And they come up with ideas on how we think we can scale this program, and then we implement. And one of the things that came out of that was like, man, I wish I had this training 20 years ago. I wish I had this training 5 years ago. I wish I had this training first week of the academy. And so we've put over half of that content, of that Struggle Well content program, into our basic academy. So we're sending out officers now that are much better equipped to deal with exposure that they're going to have. Because let's face it, all of us turn on the news every day. It's still not an easy time in our country to be a police officer.